And welcome to this Degenerate Friday pre-Super Bowl edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForrest, and very happy, elated, in fact, to have the man who probably would be the most appropriate among handicappers to come on prior to a Super Bowl event where you're going to be wagering all kinds of money on a variety of different things. The new theme song of the Super Bowl should be the old Paul Simon hit, right? 50 ways to lose your money. We've been talking about all these prop bets all week long and including handicapping various things like the anthem. And it's weird, Professor. I was talking about this yesterday with Mike Jones. That back in the day, which don't want to say that everybody's a geezer at Caesars, but back in the day, you would only bet, and the bookies would offer you a chance to bet the side. Maybe the money line came into play. Over unders eventually evolved into everybody's equation. Then people started parlaying it. I've gone the 2 weeks to the Super Bowl. Every day I've seen a different list of prop bets that I would have never conjured up, what were even under consideration. Yet, if you played them all, my God, they're just like 8,000 ways now to lose your money on the Super Bowl game. And it never ceases to amaze. And I'm talking about statistically based prop bets, not even the absurd stuff that you get into,
Like
uh,
we're going to get into in a little bit here.
yeah, like the color of the Kool-Aid, the length of the anthem, whether Donald Trump shits his pants. Uh,
Okay, it goes back into something when we first started knowing each other, and
yeah.
we did Defo Radio way back in the day. And my two partners, the great CJ and the great PC, were obsessed with fantasy football
Right.
and fantasy baseball, and it got to the point where like I had to do a rule on the show. It's like we can talk about fantasy football in the league in the preseason when people are doing their draft because people are interested. But once the season starts, you guys can't talk about goddamn fantasy football anymore. And then now this is like 15 years ago or however the hell long,
Yeah.
maybe even a little longer at this point. But now gambling has turned into goddamn fantasy football. Like
Exactly.
how many receptions is this guy getting? What's the over under on yards? What's the over under on touches? What's this? What's
I
that? Like I
saw one the other day, range of yards, where you bet between 10 and
right.
30, between 31 and 50, and you're like, what? How many ways can they separate you from your capital? I remember when I used to have the obligatory fantasy guy on when it first sort of evolved on radio programs, and they go, okay, we got a Fox fantasy guy, and we have to put him on 15 minutes a week. I don't care what you
Right.
do. And it was always dreadful because you would open up the phone lines, which were being pushed by the fantasy guy. Yeah, go ahead and call me. Ask me about anything. And and then you would get these dreadful calls, one after another. Well, I've got so and so and so and so. Who should I play? Johnny Jones is going against the Chiefs, and it was just dreadful. But
Luby had one of those guys, except he was an NBA guy,
yeah,
and like he was serious. He would like go to the summer league to scout sleepers but I just could not stand having the guy on.
oh,
Um,
dreadful.
so I would start making up like off the wall topics I found on other sites that had nothing to do with basketball or sports, just to like, hey, let me see if I throw enough of this bullshit at this guy
Yeah.
that he will stop coming on. So it would be like things like which cereal mascot would win a fight, what's the best snack cake. Like I would just throw anything that didn't have anything to do with basketball at this guy just because
You're trying to
like
get rid of him. Yes.
I gotta have this guy on because of Luby. But like if I'm gonna have him on, the last thing I'm gonna talk about is goddamn basketball stats with him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you know what? It became interesting in some senses, I guess, like you said, because you would hear these guys, and it might influence your handicapping. And now, look, everybody's using these kind of quantifiers, even in trying to pick the side and the over under when they're
well, and
handicapped.
again, the other thing we talked about is back in the day, like one of the big topics was gender equity within sports media and sports radio specifically at the time. And at the time, like that woman, the fabulous sports babe, was pretty much the only sports radio female presence in the world. But I'm watching Radio the Row the other day, like the gambling apps have solved the gender equity problem because like
Yes.
handicappers don't look like Stu Feiner and Brandon Lang anymore. Like they're all women 8.5 and higher
Oh,
are now
maybe
uh,
9.5 and higher.
yeah, that's what gambling experts have become within the media. And yeah, look, obviously FanDuel and DraftKings have decided that's what works, and I'm not blaming. I mean, now
I think they're right.
personally, I would not think that Kevin Hart and an Instagram models are what you know people are looking for in their gambling content. But apparently, that's in fact what it is, because that's the entire media surrounding the events. I mean, we were talking about it on a previous show, man. Sports radio in and around the Super Bowl has just changed so much. Like I remember the last time I did radio, which was with you, and it was during the COVID year. It was the Kansas City Niners' first Super Bowl, and there was like one big set that like Fox Sports Radio was using,
Yeah.
and then we were sitting next to the guy. I think he was from Kansas City, who he had his own homemade set, like he was putting up poster board
Yes.
crap, and we were like, look at this clown. I'm watching radio the other day. Everybody brings a goddamn set now, like a professionally made set. It's not just let's hang a poster in the back. Like it's a full set. It's just weird to see the way things have evolved, man.
Yeah, it's not like the days when being on these boxing radio roads and Don King's one consideration, one piece of criteria to come on was you had to have on a piece of paper the call letters of the station and the name of the host, so he could then declare that Jeff DeForrest of WYOD is the greatest that's ever been on the air. This man, and
only in America.
right.
You know what? That's another funny radio.
You'd have no idea.
That's another funny radio story for us. Like, and we had back in the days of the Bamboo Beach Tiki Club, a pretty decent for random bar in Fort Lauderdale. Probably because it was on the beach and there was always a lot of babes around. But we had a decent list of like stars who came.
Oh no,
Dennis Rodman and Michael Irvin. Andre Rison basically co-hosted the show for like a few months. Like a decent guy. And the one that everybody in the world came to see was goddamn Don King.
Yeah.
Like Defo brought Don King one night and had him on for. I mean, honestly, he did like 2 hours. He was there for.
All he did was say hello, Don.
And I'm trying to remember who his fighter. I think it was like Joe Frazier's grandson. It was like Marvis's kid or something like that. It was like a nobody fighter. And there was this line of like 50 goddamn people to get autographs stretching all the way around the bar.
It was insane.
And they all wanted Don King's autograph.
Yeah, no, he always was a draw. That was funny. We didn't have to answer the question that night from the owner of the place, the great Frank Tellerico. I thought you guys said you had a following.
Yeah, no. Again,
it was good. We actually
came out for Don King, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was great. All right, we want to get into this because I was looking at the variety of the prop bets that.
All right, before we get into the Super Bowl,
it used to be absurd stuff, and now.
Hold on. Before we get into Super Bowl, can we do a little college basketball first? Because I think there actually are some good spots in college basketball, and since we are doing
all right, let's fire it. Yeah, okay.
A gambling show, let's just start with tonight. UConn and St. John's. UConn -2.5 on the road at St. John's. I think this game's a total mismatch. I think UConn's going to bury them. UConn's been burying everybody. I hate it, but Hurley's got another monster team coming. St. John's has turned their season around after some early season struggles, but if you look at it, it's mostly because the Big East outside of the very, very top is mostly crap. And, you'll go back to the early part of the season where St. John's played a more reputable schedule and they really struggled against it. Losses to Alabama, to Iowa State, to Auburn, all of whom are good basketball, to Kentucky, all of whom are good basketball. Well, not Kentucky so much, but all of them were good basketball teams. But like St. John's against upper-level competition has not been good. So we're taking UConn tonight and laying the 2.5. And then we get into Saturday where there are some pretty representative matchups, including Duke, North Carolina, the feature. I'm going to stay away from that one because it is at North Carolina. I think North Carolina might get it up a little bit. We're going to pass on that, but we got some others. Tennessee on the road, getting 1.5 from Kentucky. We like the Vols there. I hate saying this so much, but right now the most rated number 17, the most underrated team in the country by far is the Florida Gators. Right. Playing Texas A&M, only laying 4.5. Texas A&M had a nice win over Alabama the other night. They will not repeat that. The Gators are profiling like another championship type team. If you go to the Ken Palm rankings, I think they're inside the top 10 in both offense and defense adjusted. So we like the Gators on the road. And then Houston and BYU, BYU seems to be coming apart at the seams a little bit with their youth, and we're in February, so once again, Houston looking like a Final Four kind of team there. So we're taking Houston there. So Florida, Houston, and Tennessee on Saturday, and St. John's tonight in college basketball. I mean, excuse me, Connecticut tonight in college basketball.
What's the line on the Houston BYU game?
2.5.
Two and a half.
Houston laying 2.5 on the road. If you watch BYU against Oklahoma State, they absolutely crumbled in that game. They got down big early, came back and tied it at half, and then crumbled again in the second half. Right now, BYU can just not defend anybody. Going back a week and a half now to that Arizona game, BYU has just lost the plot on the defensive end of the floor, which, again, we go back to Ken Palm, which are our favorite ratings, and you look at them, they're currently only 42nd in the nation in an adjusted defense. The Cougars, for all their offensive talent, cannot defend anybody, and that's a bad recipe to play Houston with.
All right, nice little 4-pack leading up to the Super Bowl. And, of course, we've been talking about this last couple of weeks, the wide variety of prop bets and people's inclination to go ahead and dive in on these. You're saying that this first one, and we have the professor's big board this week because it's particularly appropriate with the allusion to the strangest of prop bets that are offered up every year. It's an annual affair here on the various programs that we've done, where he checks out the weirdest of the weird. Not the least of which, though, even though this has become such a common play, you're saying, and we're going to start the list here, the big board of
we want to pull that up?
Yeah, stupid.
All right, we're going right into this. Hold on one second here.
And we've got a graphic that goes along with this for those of you that are catching this with the visual version of the program. And there it is. There's the headline. Big board of stupid ball prop bets for 2026. We've been doing this for several years now, and it's always fascinating to see what people are wagering on, what wagers are actually available. But we do begin with kind of a common one here, starting out at number 5, Professor.
Yeah, we do. And I if you've been paying attention, I saw a story yesterday where they have already taken record amounts of money on this particular bet. And I think it's people, Defo, diving in on a prop bet that has been totally ruined the last couple of years. But one, we have to ask, like, where the hell have you been, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, people are now getting on to that. And that is Charlie Puth, the national anthem, over under 120.5 seconds. Defo told me he saw a different number at 119.
I saw 119 and a hook in my New York Post. That could have been yesterday's number. But interestingly handicapped by Howie Kasoy, who is one of their college football and basketball. Well, I guess he does college football. He may do college basketball as well, but handicapper in the Post. At one time was very good. He's tailed off the last couple of years. But he handicapped. Good synopsis on this thing, which I don't know anything about Charlie Puth. But
me neither.
There's some similarities in your theories that I don't know. You were kind of undecided going into this, but I think I influenced you into taking a position.
No, not really, because I feel like this bet is totally rigged at this point.
Yeah.
I blame Reba McEntire for ruining this bet when she just started adding words to go over. If you remember, she sang "The Brave" like 2 or 3 times. And then last year, Jean-Baptiste, which I think most people saw as sort of a wild card to begin with. As I recall, the number was hugely over, or leaned huge to the over in that one. And he sang "Land of the Free" over and over again and still couldn't get it over, went down.
Left it short, huh?
Left it short. I feel like this number's being fixed. I feel like the more popular this bet has become, and it has become hugely popular this year, the more likely someone is to rig it. Like a casino is likely to hand out a contract. Just make sure you go under, or make sure you go over. And this Charlie Puth guy, I know a couple of his songs, but I'm not hugely familiar. Huge wild cards, because one of the things we like to do, as you know, Defo, is go back and look at previous performances of the national anthem by the artist. This guy's never sung a national anthem before in public, and kind of weird. Even Chris Stapleton, who hadn't done it many, there were a couple of video recordings of him. And we mentioned Chris Stapleton because Puth has said in interviews that the 2 anthems that he finds the most influential are Whitney Houston, which most people have as the greatest national anthem of all time, and Chris Stapleton. And it's worth noting in that both of them for their era went shockingly long.
Yes.
Whitney Houston at the time, I think, sang the longest one ever when she came out because people
Same
used
time as Secretariat's Belmont, I believe it was.
I think she was 159, but back in her day, the average was like 130.
Okay.
And then came a bunch who went super over. Alicia Keys, of course, is the record holder at 236 for this. But then Chris Stapleton, because he's a country guys tend to go short, went stunningly long
Yeah.
at 201, which is by far and away the most a country singer has ever gone. Even Reba McEntire, with her adding words in, only went 136, which for her was not over, but still, Chris Stapleton, shockingly long. So supposedly he's bringing out a piano. People have seen a video of the rehearsal, and he's got a piano with him. That makes you think over.
Sure sign the overs lock.
The only song I know, which is that tribute song to Paul Walker from Fast and the Furious, he does seem to drag out the notes there, so it makes you think over. But if he comes out and just belts this out in like a minute 30 flat, given the fixing that's been going on with this anthem the last few years, not going to shock me in the least.
Not going to happen that way. I believe he's going to go into, as you suggested earlier, some scat singing on this. All of a sudden,
Yes.
you're getting a little Mel Torme, Ella Fitzgerald, and
Yeah.
the piano reminds me. I guess it was Gladys Knight that played like a 2-minute intro before she got into the song. Which
No, that was Alicia Keys. The super
Alicia
long
Keys,
piano
right.
intros was Alicia Keys, the
All
record.
right. But yeah, didn't Gladys Knight do the same thing where she came out in the fur coat and
Yeah, Gladys Knight was the one who had like 19 people on stage with her.
yes, I mean I love accompaniment and any kind of instrument. I'm going over on this, Professor. 120 and a hook doesn't scare me. I'm willing to lay whatever juice there is. I would imagine that it's minus 110. And figure this guy is going to seize the spotlight to introduce himself to a much different audience than his internet crowd that he became famous with. And over on number 5. All right, that's number 5.
See,
Number
and
4. Yeah.
I'm going with just go against the public on this because at this point I feel this bet is fixed. This is being rigged.
That well could be. I mean, this would be an easy one to fix. Same thing with, I don't know if there's a prop there. I imagine there would be, even though I don't know the name of any of his songs or any of the lyrics. Bad Bunny, what the Bad Bunny first song would be, much like we cashed that time on Katy Perry when she opened up with Roar. And we had some guy who'd been at the rehearsal and she didn't fool us. So she did exactly what she did in the rehearsal. So we need to get that rehearsal tape and time it, Professor. I think that would be the key. All right, that's number 5. Number 4.
Number 4, again, I actually think this one is kind of giving money away.
Yeah.
I think this is a little bone, although I'm sure there's a huge circle around it almost everywhere. But I also just don't feel we should be encouraging this guy, and that is Mac Hollins to show up barefoot. The yes is minus 500 on the. And look, Mac Hollins is a former Dolphin, but I am so tired of this guy with his routines. He showed up at the AFC Championship game dressed like one of the guys from the Warriors, the one who was clinking the bottles
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the movie. He's like, Broncos, come out and play. Like, so tired of Mac. Like, dude, we know you're just begging for attention. You're begging for attention the way Conor McGregor did prior to that Floyd Mayweather fight. Like, it's just sad at this point. I'm tired of encouraging this man. So while I agree with you that they're just giving money away
I believe
with
that's
this
20% return on a very surefire investment, no?
yeah, I mean, I don't think you're getting anything more than a very minor investment um, on this.
What could they
but
let you bet on that? I mean, 100 to give you 20?
I imagine probably 500 would be the cap to get 100, but that's just
Okay.
what
So it's
most
like they
places.
handed you a $100 voucher to bet the rest of the Super Bowl.
I mean, maybe, but again, this game is in San Francisco, and if you believe people who have traveled out there, San Francisco is just nothing but a pile of used needles and human waste all over the ground everywhere. It's
Found
like
evidence of that when we were out there like 11 years ago.
Detroit used to be with the broken glass when you used to travel the city of Detroit. You'd be like, just who the hell is smashing bottles everywhere? Like that. Apparently, San Francisco is just people pooping in the street
Yeah.
constantly and dropping needles, which
Yeah,
you know,
geez. Yeah.
I don't know how that became a thing. Like look, we're in South Florida. We've been to Miami. Back in the '80s in
We've
Miami
seen
wasn't.
our share of shit. Let's put it that way.
Well, no. I mean, back in the '80s in Miami, it wasn't like you saw Coke spoons just thrown across the street everywhere. But apparently, with these needle drugs, people just drop the needles everywhere. I don't know, and poop in the street. So it doesn't seem like a good city to show
I
bear.
mean, back in the '80s, you would help some old lady carry her groceries, put them in the car out of the shopping cart. She'd hand you a small 8 ball of cocaine as a as a gratuity. I mean, we saw our share of crap. I don't know. I mean, there's another one you could rig, but it seems like a very generous offering, doesn't it, Professor?
I mean, it does, but it also seems like you're giving Mac Hollins more attention for this stupid little
I
routine he
don't
does.
mind. I mean,
I'm not inclined to encourage that to pick up a very small pittance of money.
if you knew you could bring $5,000 to a site somewhere, meet a guy under the pier,
If you thought
and
you
then he's
could
gonna
get
give
that
you
down, yes.
6, I mean, would you do it? Yeah,
If you thought you could get 5 dimes down, it would be more consideration. But I don't think you're getting that kind of action down on this anywhere. I don't think anybody's taking that number.
the horror if you see this guy showing up in shoes. All right, that's number 4. Number 3.
Number 3, there's always one really stupid one, and this is it this year, and that is, will Stephon Diggs propose to Cardi B anytime during or after the game? I assume by after they mean while the cameras are still rolling. I
Yeah.
don't think if he proposes to Cardi B a month from now. But like, if I'm Stephon Diggs people, I'm making sure this doesn't happen at any cost, because for those unfamiliar with Cardi B, and I am largely unfamiliar with Cardi B. Cardi B rose to fame by rapping about the fact that she used to be a stripper and and drugged men to take their watches and wallets.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
if that's what you're known for, that doesn't seem like marriage material to me. I mean,
No.
we're ignoring the fact that Stephon Diggs started the season with talk of maybe the Patriots suspending him for a game because he had been videotaped in this boat party down here in South Florida, passing out an unknown pink substance to what appeared to be a boat full of strippers.
Yes.
So we know that at least Cardi B's his type as an ex-stripper. But that said, if I'm Stephon Diggs' agent or his financial advisor, I'm not letting him marry this woman, because it seems like there's a pretty good chance she would only marry him for content, when she could turn around and talk about how she accidentally overdosed Stephon Diggs by Mickeying his drinks. Now she's got all his money. Oh, look, now I've got a new album on top of all of Stephon Diggs' money. If I'm Stephon Diggs' people, I'm not letting him anywhere near a jewelry store to propose to Cardi B.
That's one ring you don't want to see on his finger after the Super Bowl is over.
No, I'm definitely going through his locker and making sure there's not an engagement ring anywhere. And if there is one, I'm stealing it.
Well, what comes after that, the wedding ring and the suffering. So he would be positioned perfectly for number 3. That was number 3. Number 2 on the list of oddball prop bets for this year's Super Bowl.
And it is involving the halftime show, which, again, surprisingly little talk about the halftime show.
Yeah.
Even though we now have to have a competitive halftime show starring Kid Rock. And if you flash back 6 months ago when they
That'll draw a lot of traction. I'm assuming that's going to be
yeah.
right
Anyway,
up there with the Melania movie in terms of interest.
Number 2 is, will Bad Bunny expose his nipple during the halftime show? And the crazy part here is the odds are basically the same as Mac Hollins going barefoot. The
Looks like
books
another
are
gift.
telling you that it is a sure thing that Bad Bunny will expose his nipples at some point during the halftime show. Now, I got to be honest.
Well, where can you get this one down, though? Okay, is that available at the Circa? I mean,
I'm guessing this is all over the apps, because I've seen this one promoted in several places. The funny thing is, I've went and looked at Bad Bunny's stage pictures when he's a well-dressed dude most of the time. He wears suits. Showed up at the Grammys wearing a very classic tuxedo the other day.
Right.
But apparently at some point during his shows, he just loves to show people his nipples. I don't understand it, really. And in this picture, he's got the Harry Belafonte 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch hat on, but normally he's wearing the Elmer Fudd hat. It doesn't I don't get it. Maybe does he wear overalls when he wears the Elmer Fudd hat because maybe he shows his nipples? during that.
I'm
Apparently, it's a
still
sure thing that we're going to see Bad Bunny's nipples
I'm
at
trying
some
to
point
think
during the
why
show.
would that spark so much outrage? Because I recall seeing many guys shirtless performing at Super Bowl halftime shows, dancers in the background, some of the performers themselves. I don't know if Roger Daltrey opened up his shirt there when he was off key singing for the Who or Jagger, but I don't. This doesn't seem like it would be that much of an outrage, right? It's not like it.
It doesn't seem like that big a deal to me, but like I feel at this point, like Bad Bunny really wants the attention, particularly from the MAGA people, and
Yeah,
it's because he is trying so hard to piss people off, and everybody's just ignoring him. Like like 2 weeks ago, he did the thing where he's like, "I'm going to come out in a dress because I'm going to honor the drag queens from Puerto Rico." And then last week, he did the Grammys, and he just made it like an ICE protest
yes,
for like an hour long. And somehow, and I don't know how, even Fox News is basically freaking ignoring this guy. They're
yes.
like, there's no real conversation about it. So maybe I was like, when I saw this prop, I was like, maybe he's going to redo the Janet Jackson thing just because that's the only way he can get attention anymore is, have somebody come up and expose his chest during the middle of the show. But I'm with you. Like, is that really that big a deal? Like Adam Levine
Yeah,
stripped his shirt off 15 seconds into that halftime show.
sure. And that's what
So,
everybody was waiting for in the crowd, no doubt about it. All right, Bad Bunny, the nipple exposure minus 450 says yes on that, and I would imagine the action will be heavy on that side. Number one on the list. What could top that, Professor?
number one on the list,
All bets.
just a personal, most annoying thing to me because there's just a gaggle of these people.
Yeah,
And, the only thing that annoys me more than the New England Patriots is their fan base because honestly, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but this current edition of the New England Patriots is a lot less hateable than previous editions. I
no
mean,
doubt.
like Drake May's not Tom Brady, like he's not hanging out with a bunch of celebrity women and whatnot, and he's a kid. Vrabel's kind of just a stooge as opposed to Belichick. He doesn't seem like he has that pure evil gene in him. The way, I mean, you still have, non NFL Hall of Famer and sexual predator Bob Kraft owning the team, but that's really the only connection at this
Yeah,
point. But their fans are really annoying, and that is the worst and the stupidest prop. What celebrity Patriot fan will be caught on camera first? Current betting favorite Marky Mark at plus 250. But what really is annoying about this list is when you look at it, it's so goddamn long. Like there are so many Patriot fan Hollywood douchebags hanging around, and they're all just awful. Like it starts with Marky Mark. Number two pick is Matt Damon. Number three is, of course, Affleck, and go on and on and on. This whole list of like 20 people who I just despise, who dominate entertainment at this point. And that's going to lead us to giving out a little pick here, which is remember the last time NBC held the Super Bowl,
right.
they could not get enough of Ben goddamn Affleck
You think it was
during that
Ben or was
broadcast.
it
They
J-Lo?
kept going back to Ben Affleck over and over and over again during that Super Bowl, like at a Fernando Mendoza's family kind of rate during that Super Bowl. And remember, these two were just dating at that point. They didn't have anything to promo. Normally, when you get these, it's like, well, watch for so and so because he's got a new show coming on NBC next Monday. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But they kept going back to Affleck and J-Lo for no freaking reason that entire Super Bowl. So I'm saying at number 3, and I think he's like plus 600. Affleck is a great pick here.
All right, excellent synopsis of some of the bizarre prop bets, which seem to be very much in vogue. You said they'd already taken in more money on the over/under on the anthem.
Yeah, the anthem
Same-
seems to be one.
and
Last year was the
frequently.
octopus, which was
Yeah.
really stupid. This year it seems to be anthem is the one everybody has gravitated
all
to.
over. Heads or tails,
So,
Professor? Which way are you going?
tails never fails.
All right. Good luck with all of your wagers.
Honestly, that was another one last year where everybody was like, "Oh, it's been heads."
Yeah.
28 times to only 27 for tails or whatever the number, 29 and 28, whatever the hell the number was.
Sure.
And everybody's like, so there's a statistical advantage to
It's
heads.
like
I was like,
the rapper that comes up with a wad full of bills,
least-
maybe 20 grand, and puts it on black.
at least we haven't done that this
One
time
day.
around. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, I don't have a strong opinion here. I guess I'm grasping here, but I would say the under looks like the best of everything to me. Like I don't. Both defense have been great, and particularly New England offense has been very marginal throughout the playoffs. So again, I don't know if there's a great pick in this one, but I would lean toward under, even though it's a relatively small number. So
I think you get some phenomenal odds if the score is exactly the same as it was when they met before in the Super Bowl, which of course was the famous game with the Malcolm Butler
Malcolm
interception.
Butler.
So it was 28-24 New England, and if that score pops up again, I believe you're getting a fairly hellacious price.
Okay.
I see 27-17 Seahawks. That's going to be my final there. So we got Seahawks
27-17. See,
covering and the under, which is interesting. 45.
I'll go 24-13.
Something in that category. We're both close. All right. Thanks, Professor. Always a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you guys for joining us. Good luck with all of your Super Bowl plays. There certainly are enough of them, including the ones that the professor just outlined there, which the guy showing up with the bare feet, aren't they just handing you $100 bill walking in? Now, if there is some kind of conspiracy, and we've seen, I don't know if any red flags have popped up that an unusual amount of money. We had a situation at the racetrack yesterday where an unusual amount of money showed up at the last minute, inside the final minute to post at Aqueduct for their first race. So the odds were completely thrown out of whack instantly as this horse, who was the two ball in this case, ends up getting bit down. 150,000 came in the win pool early on the card on a Thursday in the dead of winter at Aqueduct. And only the sickest of degenerates are betting at off-track locations and on their phone apps. There was a horse given out. It was the morning line favorite by one of the handicappers in the paper, and I was shocked to see this horse paid $10 because the 150 that went in to win at the last second through the two was a first-time starter and was listed as like 6-1 or something like that in the morning line to 1-9. So briefly, this morning line favorite, who was the four-horse in the race, is showing at 10-1. Out of nowhere. This should have been like a 6-5 shot, and ended up paying $10+. Ended up paying more than 4-1 because some guy slammed this one horse, and unfortunately, his money or whatever information he had about this first-time starter turned out to be highly misguided. And I wonder, I don't know what kind of phone calls were made after that result was in, but I would imagine whoever made the wager was not a happy camper. All right. Good luck with your Super Bowl bets. You guys have a lot of fun over the weekend. Hope everybody enjoys it. We'll be back on Monday with Mike Jones to discuss what happened there and see just how long it's going to take us to either continue the celebration or how long we can continue it or recover from the carnage. So for the professor, I'm Jeff DeForrest. We'll see you next time, next edition of Bury Your Bookie.